On other news, I wanted to introduce you to our guest, Robert Vandervoort. He's the executive director of ProEnglish. There's a bill out there trying to make English the official U.S. language. It's back for another try. We're wondering if it's going to succeed this time. Robert Vandervoort, thanks for being with us on America's Radio News.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. I was talking to my mom and her husband the other day, and they were miffed about the fact that they were on the line somewhere and they had to press 1 for English. These are two people who grew up from immigrant families who had to learn the language, and I think there's a lot of folks in the country who still think the USA should be English only or the primary language. Is that the case now?
Well, you're right. I mean, most Americans, high numbers, 90% usually in polls, want America to make English their official language, and this is not unusual. Most of the countries in the world have an official language. In fact, if your listeners go to our website at proenglish.org, they'll be able to see there's 54 countries that have already made English the official language of their nation, and we think America should be the next one.
Now, what's the reason the critics say of not making English the official language?
Well, they say it's unwelcoming. It sends an unwelcoming message to immigrants, and that usually is about the summation of their argument. Our chairman came here from Italy at the age of 6, didn't know a word of English, but she got immersed in the English language and ended up getting a Ph.D. and was testifying before Congress yesterday in favor of Congressman Steve King's official English bill.
Well, I know that there are people that say the ability for folks to learn the language, to be immersed in English, the United States culture, requires them to us to kind of bend a little bit. But there are some places that have multiple, like in California. I know for the fact that a lot of the ballots, and a lot of the issues for government, like getting a driver's license, there are several different forms in several different languages. So this is not only a burden on different governments to put forward so many different things printed out. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, if you look at the cost that Canada has to spend each year for translations, for being a bilingual nation with French and English, it's an enormous cost. Or if you look at the European Union, which has over 20 different official languages that all have to be translated. These are huge costs. They're a big burden on the economy. And frankly, they don't send the message that immigrants need to assimilate to our nation.
Well, some people would almost say now that we're almost a bilingual nation with Spanish and English. I made that joke about the fact you press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish. That's almost the way it is. It's almost become standard now. Or there are people saying, well, we're almost there. Why should we go back to making English, fully the official language?
Well, I think if you look around the world and you look at languages, you look at how language can divide nations and countries. You look at Belgium. There's some news reports right now in Ukraine. They're having a big clash over whether they should use Ukrainian or Russian. And of course, in Canada, our neighbors to the north, we see the problems they have trying to be a bilingual nation. I think the best thing we can do to tell immigrants who come to this country is learn English and you'll succeed, you'll get better jobs, better education, and trying to cobble together a bilingual education, bilingual ballots, all of this stuff is actually going to do us more harm in the long run.
I know that immigrants over the years, especially those that came in the early part of the 1900s, even through the part of the late 1900s, would come to the United States, and one of the first things they do would be to learn English because, again, it would open up the doors of opportunity. But it was also a prideful thing, the fact that they learned to speak English. When did that change?
Well, it started changing in the 60s and 70s, and as a response in the 80s and 90s, these groups such as ours at ProEnglish came around to push for official English to try to put a stop to this. But there's really, starting in the late 60s and up till the present day, there's been this push to political correctness, multiculturalism, bilingualism, multilingualism, and so on. And it's actually very divisive, and it's our concern and a lot of the concern of our members is that it could lead to fragmentation instead of bringing us together.
So tell us about ProEnglish. How long have you guys been around? And again, what's your purpose? What are you trying to push forward here?
Well, we've been in existence since 1994. We have members in all 50 states, and we have been pushing to make English the official language for government purposes at the federal, state, and local level. And if your listeners want, they can sign up at our website to get involved at ProEnglish.org.
Very good. Robert Vandervoort, he's the Pro-English Executive Director and a bill making English the official language. Back for another time. Robert Vandervoort, thanks for joining us on America's Radio News.
Thanks for having me on.